Magandang araw po sa ating lahat. This is our review lecture for the following topics. Long-term financing, so yung ating pong capital structure decisions. And then pasok po tayo ng discussion ng leverage, operating, financial, at saka combined leverage. Capital structure is the mix of financing a company uses to fund its own operations and growth. So, pwedeng debt financing, pwedeng equity financing. Ganun lang po kasimple, no? Yung ating pong two main components, pwedeng debt financing, pwedeng equity financing. But as you know, meron pong cost yan sa company. So, later on, when we discuss that, may cost of debt, may cost of common equity, may cost of preferred stock. Okay? It shows how a business balances borrowed money and owner's investment to support its activities. Paano binabalanse? Ibig sabihin ang debt financing at equity financing. A company's capital structure affects its risk, cost of capital, as I've mentioned earlier, and ultimately profitability and basically wealth management of the entity. Okay? Using more debt can increase returns because interest payments may be cheaper than equity in such a way that naipangbabawas nga po natin yan for tax purposes, hindi po ba tax deductible, But it also raises financial risk of, having utang by itself because the company must repay its obligations. On the other hand, using more equity reduces debt, no? Hindi ka masyadong aasa sa utang, hindi ka masyadong aasa sa obligations, pero ang downside niya, nadidilute ang ownership. Masyadong marami ang nagkakaroon ng ownership of shares of stock, no? But hindi natin maitatanggi na parang ang dating, both of them has their own advantages and disadvantages. Lalo na sa paggamit din naman ng debt kasi in that way, kapag ka naman debt financing ang ginamit mo, wala kang problema na ma-dilute ang ownership. And yun nga po, nabanggit natin kanina, interest payments by itself can be cheaper than equity. The goal of capital structure is what? To get the optimal balance, no? Babalansehin natin ng maayos yung levels natin ng debt financing and equity financing while maximizing firm value that we can minimize financing cost. At yun nabanggit po natin kanina, the cost of debt and the cost of equity. Eventually, it can maximize firm value and it can promote financial stability. So pag sinabi po natin capital structure policy, the guidelines or strategy for the determination of the ideal mix of debt and equity financing that the entity will use to fund their operations. It helps maintain financial stability while minimizing the cost of capital. So tandaan nyo lang po yung dalawang iyon na sa paggawa po natin or sa pag-construct natin ng acting capital structure policy na i-apply natin sa firm, kailangan po ay malinaw po, that it could maintain financial stability for the firm habang nababalanse natin na nami-minimize ang cost of capital. And eventually, it contributes to the maximization of value. And eventually, yun nga po, value creation. So you should consider factors like risk tolerance, profitability, cash flow, market conditions, and the long-term goals of the firm. In short, a capital structure policy ensures that a business uses financing in a way that supports growth without taking excessive financial risk. So wala tayong masyadong financial risk. Yung one of the examples of those is yung the possibility na hindi tayo makabayad ng ating obligations, Isa yun sa example ng ating financial risk. So dapat magawa natin yung capital structure policy in such a way, na nakakapag-promote siya ng financial stability ng entity and nakakaiwas tayo sa financial risk. So ano po ba yung 5 factors that can influence capital structure? Number 1 is business risk. Business risk by itself is the risk inherent na sa pagpapatakbo ng isang firm where there is actually uncertainty in the company's operating income. Dahil saan? Internal and external factors, sales fluctuation, competition, market demand. Firms with higher business risk usually avoid excessive debt para makaiwas po sila sa financial pressure. Financial pressure ng ano? Ng pagbabayad ng obligation. Okay, number two factor, we have financial risk. Financial risk arises from the use of debt financing. Higher debt means higher interest obligations, which increases the risk of financial distress. Yan nga po yung nabanggit ko sa inyo kanina na one of the examples of financial risk is yung mismong baka hindi ka makabayad ng obligations mo, hindi ka makabayad ng principal, and in the case here na nabanggit dito, na baka hindi ka makapagbayad ng iyong interest obligations. Okay? It increases the risk of financial distress kasi hindi ka na makabayad ng maayos. No? So that's what you call financial risk. Pangatlo, may effect po ang taxes. No? Kaya nga po, di ba, sa pagko-compute po natin ng weighted average cost of capital, ano po ba ang kailangan natin sa cost of debt? Hindi ba po siya dapat ay after-tax cost of debt? Now, bakit po after-tax cost of debt ang ginagamit natin sa calculation ng weighted average cost of capital? Debt financing can provide tax advantages, yun nabanggit ko rin kanina, because these interest payments are actually often tax deductible. No? It may encourage firms to use debt to lower the taxable income. Kaya po, when we compute your weighted average cost of capital, kailangan naka-after tax cost of debt. Okay? Unlike po sa equity, hindi naman tayo nag-quote and quote after tax cost of equity, 'di ba? Minsan ginagamit 'yan sa mga quiz B, no? Medyo pampalito lang 'yon, pero ang ina-after tax lang talaga natin ay cost of debt. Why? Ang dividends naman po, no, hindi naman natin na ipangbabawas for the purposes of calculating your taxable income. Hindi po ba? No? So, wala pong after-tax na effect ang ating equity dahil ang ating pong dividends hindi mo naman po na ipangbabawas sa iyong calculation for your taxable income. No? So, in a way, hindi siya nagiging tax advantage. Unlike po ng ating interest payments which can actually provide tax advantages because you can use them for tax deductions, I mean, taxable income deductions, no? Okay, next, number 4, financial flexibility. A company must maintain the ability to raise funds when needed. Kapag kailangan ng firm, kailangan laging ready. Sorry for that, laging ready ang ating finances. Firms often balance debt and equity to preserve flexibility during economic changes or unexpected opportunities. Di ba, napag-aralan na po rin natin yan sa risk, no? Yung mga potential internal and external factors na in a way, the firm should be ready for those. And the one thing na kailangan po ng firm talagang gawin is to be financially flexible in any downturns of the economy or any internal and external factors that may affect the operations of the firm. Okay? And number 5, the management's capability to forecast market conditions. So the management should be able to properly predict the running interest rates, outside economic trends, and different market conditions that may affect them. Specifically, how can it affect yung kanilang financing decisions. So accurate forecasting helps choose the most suitable mix of debt and equity. Tandaan po natin na tayo po ay apektado din ng mga external factors. And those external factors will give you a way to properly determine ano po ba ang properly suitable na mix ng paggamit po natin ng debt and equity. Okay. Dahil nag-uusap na lang din naman po tayo ng mga tungkol sa interest payments, 'di ba? At saka yung yung sa mga dividends na din na after natin mag-deduct ng preferred dividends sa income, that will be your income to ordinary, papasok po tayo at connected na connected po siya sa usapan ng leverage, no? So, let's have first your operating leverage. So, operating leverage is the extent to which a firm uses fixed operating cost, no, or the fixed cost in your cost structure, which is actually a ratio between your contribution margin and your operating income, or your contribution margin and your earnings before interest and taxes. Balikan po natin yung ating variable costing income statement, in which sales minus your variable cost, that is your CM, minus your fixed cost, that is your operating income. And in our terms here, this is your earnings before interest and taxes. And when you get the ratio between your CM and your EBIT, then that becomes your degree of operating leverage, which can also be calculated as the percentage change in EBIT over your percentage change in sales. Ano nga po uli ang sinasabi ng operating leverage? Na pag-aralan naman na po natin ito, no, when you were in ang tawag dito, CVP analysis, no? Gaano ka-sensitive ang mangyayari sa iyong operating income given a change in sales? Okay? No? So, given any change in sale, ano ang mangyayari sa operating income natin? And again, it can also be calculated with the percentage change in EBIT over the percentage change in sales. Okay? Pasok po tayo ng financial leverage, which is the use of debt financing in the capital structure, and the main difference of EBIT over your earnings before taxes is your interest po kasi. Ibig sabihin ng financial leverage, no, it shows how the use of borrowed funds affects earnings available to common shareholders. Kasi nga po, interest ang pinaka-pinipinpoint dito, no? Kung paano ka magbayad ng fixed interest obligations. Okay? So, kung itutuloy po natin yung equation kanina, ulitin ko at bubuuin ko na. Sales minus variable cost, CM minus fixed cost, operating income, which is your EBIT, minus your interest expense, this is your earnings before taxes. Now, ang sabi dito, financial leverage is computed as the ratio between EBIT over EBIT minus interest, which is your earnings before taxes. So, ano ang nasa gitna nila? No? Yung ating periodic fixed interest payments or fixed interest obligations. So, kung mapapansin po ninyo, parehong fixed ang tinitignan. Bakit? Sa degree of operating leverage, ano po ang ating pinupunterya? Ano? Your CM over your EBIT. So, ang tinitignan naman natin sa inyong degree of operating leverage is alin po, no? Yung sensitivity ng income natin because of the level of the fixed cost that we have. So, dito naman sa ating financial leverage, the sensitivity of your earnings na nabawasan ng interest, which is basically your earnings before taxes, given a certain level of fixed interest payments. So, sa atin pong DOL is ano po ang nasa parang ganon. Ano yung nasa gitna nila? Parang ganon, ano? Your fixed cost naman, 'di ba? And then for your degree of financial leverage, parang ano yung nasa gitna nila that we pinpoint on that sensitivity? Yung atin pong interest expense or fixed interest payments, fixed interest obligations. Okay? So, EBIT over EBIT minus interest is your degree of financial leverage, which can also be expressed like this. Your percentage change in EPS or your earnings per share over your percentage change in EBIT. Sir, ba't tayo biglang napunta sa EPS? Tandaan po ninyo na pag tinuloy pa natin ito, no, aangat ako dito sandali, no, operating income minus interest expense, yun nga po, di ba? Earnings before taxes minus tax, that is your net income ultimately. Pero magma-minus ka ng preferred dividends to get your net income to ordinary shares. 'Di ba ganyan? No? Your ultimate net income, pag nabawasan na siya ng preferred dividends, doon ka lang magkakaroon ng net income to ordinary shares. So, ang nangyayari is your financial leverage can also be computed as the percentage change in EPS over the percentage change in EBIT. Kasi, ang starting point mo naman is your EBIT papunta dun sa mismong net income to OS. And eventually, when you divide the net income to OS to the weighted average number of shares outstanding, then that gives you your EPS. Hindi po ba? That's why in degree of financial leverage, we also have that kind of formula. And simply, when you put them together, which is the overall effect of your operating and financial leverage on the earnings per share of the firm, which also shows how sensitive the EPS would be on the changes in sales, then that would be your degree of combined leverage, which is simply the product of multiplying your degree of operating leverage and degree of financial leverage. You can also compute it as the percentage change in EPS over the percentage change in sales. Bakit? Bakit po naging ganyan ang DCL? Wala akong space. O dito na lang sa baba. Okay? Bakit po naging ganyan ang DCL? Tandaan po natin ha, papakita ko lahat. Your degree of operating leverage is your CM over EBIT, which is also equal to your percentage change in EBIT over your percentage change in sales. Meanwhile, your degree of financial leverage is EBIT over EBIT minus interest, which is also equal to percentage change in earnings per share over percentage change in EBIT. So, pag pinagsama ko yung dalawa, bonding all together sila, yung ating DCL. Na sabi nga natin, ito po, DOL times DFL. Gamitin natin ito, So, your DOL or your degree of operating leverage can be computed as the percentage change in EBIT all over your percentage change in sales multiplied by the degree of financial leverage. So ito po yun, the percentage change in EPS over the percentage change in EBIT. So kung mapapansin po ninyo, cancelable po ang percentage change in EBIT, kaya po ganito ang formula natin, where your DCL is the percentage change in EPS na natira sa numerator over your percentage change in sales na siyang natira doon sa denominator. Kaya po, ganun ang ating equation. Okay? The percentage change in EPS over the percentage change in sales. Alternatively, you can just simply multiply your degree of operating leverage to your degree of financial leverage. Okay? So may magandang example tayo niyan mamaya. Diretso tayo sa discussion ng ating cost of capital, the minimum rate of return that a company must earn on its investments in order to maintain its market value, satisfy investors, which represents the cost of financing the business, whether through debt, equity, or a combination of both, So, the cost of capital serves as a benchmark for investment decisions. If the expected return is higher than the cost of capital, meaning to say, mas mataas yung i-expect mo kesa sa cost na parang ang dating nagastos ng firm in maintaining those debt and equity financing, then it will eventually add value to the organization. However, pag mas mababa ang expected return mo sa cost of capital, it tends to reduce shareholders' wealth. Okay? And it is also considered as the opportunity cost of using the funds in one investment instead of another. Na sana ginamit ko siya sa ibang bagay rather than sa ibang desisyon, Kaya parang it represents also opportunity cost. Okay? So, the overall cost of capital of the firm, dahil meron nga po siyang mix na sinusundan na parang ang dating ilang percent ng ating financing ang galing sa debt financing, ilang percent ang nagagamit natin for equity financing, then the cost of capital is often measured in weighted average form, which is your weighted average cost of capital. Okay? It combines both the cost of debt and the cost of equity. And yung cost of equity, dalawa. May cost of preferred stock, may cost of common stock. Okay? Sige, pasok po tayo sa weighted average cost of capital. The average rate of return a company is expected to pay all of its security holders, whether you are a debt holder. In that case, kapag may utang ka, ano ang cost sa'yo ng utang na yon? Interest. Kapag ka naman may mga equity shareholders ka, syempre sila naman ay umaasa sa dividends. Yun lang naman po ang ibig sabihin ng cost of capital dun sa mga nalilito pa hanggang ngayon. Ano ang ginagastos ng company dyan sa mga financing na hawak nila today? Saan sila nagagastusan sa utang? Di interest. Saan sila nagagastusan ng mga shareholder? Dun sa mga hawak na shares ng mga shareholder? Di syempre, dividends. Okay? It represents the firm's overall cost of financing based on the proportion of each source of capital. And dahil po proportionate po siya, kung titignan po ninyo yung formula natin sa baba, you need to get the equity component to the market value of the firm. And then the preferred stock component into the value of the firm, and the debt component to the value of the firm. And this letter E here is actually the common stock component. So, yung mga fractions na nakikita nyo dyan is how much component ang common stock equity, how much component ang preferred stock equity, at saka how much component ang ating debt. Okay? At saka mo sila simply i-multiply sa cost of common equity, cost of preferred stock, at saka cost of debt na dapat ay naka-after tax. Kaya nga ang tawag natin sa cost of debt ay ATCOD, after tax cost of debt. Kasi kung ano po yung interest rate, kailangan naka-after tax po siya. Okay? Weighted average cost of capital is important because it serves as the minimum required return that you must earn on in your investments. So, when the expected return is higher than the weighted average cost of capital, it adds value to the firm. Otherwise, it destroys value. So, isa-isahin po natin yung pagkuha ng mga components nitong ating weighted average cost of capital. Let's proceed with your cost of debt. Ang cost of debt is the effective rate on the borrowed funds of the firm on what they pay. Okay? So, basically, in yung interest rate, parang ganon, no? Since interest payments are actually tax deductible, the cost of debt is usually considered on an after-tax basis. So, kung ano man yung interest rate na yun, dapat naka-after-tax siya to get your cost of debt. Okay? For your cost of preferred stock, ano naman po yung return, no, na hinihingi sa atin ng ating preferred shareholders? So basically, the dividend rate, no, that we give out to our preferred shareholders. Okay? Since dividends are actually not tax deductible, there is actually no after-tax adjustment for that. Okay? So, your annual preferred dividend divided by the current market price of the stock, that will serve as your cost of preferred stock. One tip, kung sakali, no, na binigay na po diretso yung dividend rate, wala tayong problema doon, no? Kapag ka binigay na yung dividend rate, no, for preferred stock, then usually ito na po yun. Usually usually ito na po yun. Kung ano po yung dividend rate sa preferred stock, then usually yun na po yun. Okay? Sa cost of common stock naman po, we have two ways on how to get them. The one being your CAPM, which we have already discussed in your risk and return chapter. So, dito tayo focus sa Gordon Growth Model. So, ano po ba yung cost of common stock? The return required by common shareholders. So, yung dividends din, no? It reflects the risk of equity investment and usually generally higher than debt and preferred stock due to higher risk. Okay? So, pwedeng CAPM, pwedeng Gordon Growth Model. Dito po tayo magfo-focus ngayon sa Gordon Growth Model. Mapapansin nyo naman po sa problem if ang hinihingi for weighted average cost of capital, specifically for the cost of common equity or cost of common stock. Siyempre, kapag ka ang given sa inyo mga risk-free rate, mga market return, so you need to compute your common stock you need to compute your cost of common stock basically using your CAPM. Yun yung given 'di ba? Yun yung given So, doon mo ko-computein yung cost of common stock. Pero kapag ka binigay sa inyo, dividend next year, current stock price of the stock, of the common stock, And then the growth rate, ay yun na yun mga kapatid, mabasa nyo pa lang yung growth rate, no? Ibig sabihin, the way in the problem that you will be computing for your, ang tawag dito, cost of common equity is the Gordon growth model. Okay? And then usually mga kapatid, kung ano naman po ang cost of common equity, yun naman ang cost of retained earnings. Pero yung ibang libro kasi nagaganito pa, no? Yung merong marginal tax rate of stockholders. But for the purposes of our discussion and problem solving, dito po muna tayo magre-rely. Okay? Some adjustments may be discussed in theory regarding tax effect on shareholders, pero in the first place, the tax effect on the shareholders is already borne by the time that they already have the dividends, 'di ba? No? Nagets niyo yung point ko, 'di ba? In taxation principles, nagfa-final withholding tax na kasi, 'di ba? When you receive the dividends, no? So, ayun, since retained earnings belong to common shareholders, their required return is the same as cost of common stock. Totoo naman yun, di ba? And then the retained earnings, basically the earnings of the firm na available for ordinary shareholders, di ba? Yun din naman yung available for distribution as dividends. Kaya nga po, di ba, your cost of retained earnings is usually equal to the cost of equity. May mga bababasa pa kayo sa problem niyan na all retained earnings are exhausted o para sinasabi lang yon para hindi mo na siya pansinin sa problem, no, as part of the calculation of your weighted average cost of capital kasi halos same na yon, no? Well, theoretically, minsan nilalagay pa yung yung marginal tax rate of stockholders. Pero kasi sa side na nila yan as a stockholder. No, yun nga po, going back to what I told you earlier, naka-final withholding tax naman ang interest, hindi po ba? So, ang pakiramdam ng tax ay nandun na sa sa equity shareholder, hindi sa firm. Okay? Sige po. So, let's try some cases where we can explore the theoretical things that we discussed so far. So we have 8 questions here regarding your anong tawag dito? Your leverage, no? So sagutin po natin. Minji Company has a base level of sales 150,000 units daw. And then the sales per unit would be 10, variable cost is 6.5 with fixed cost of 155. Then annual interest expense 90. So kompleto naman yung di ba? Kompleto naman yung given. So for number 1, no? Let's compute for the base level EBIT. Ibig sabihin, CM minus fixed cost lang naman po yan. Okay? So your CM per unit would then be the selling price of 10 minus your variable cost of 6.5. Diba? So this is your CM per unit. Okay? So how much is our CM per unit? 10 minus 6.5. Kinalkyo ko pa talaga. 3.5, And then simply multiply it to the number of units. So your 3.5 here as your CM per unit times 150,000 units. Sorry for that. Then this gives you your total CM of 3.5 times 150,000. That gives you 525,000. And ma-minus mo lang naman yung fixed cost dyan. So your CM of 525,000 minus your fixed cost which is given in the problem as 155,000. So 525 minus 155, this gives you earnings before interest and taxes of 370,000. Okay? Baka yung iba sa inyo na ganito pa, pwede rin naman pero masyadong mahaba, no? Sales, 150,000 times 10. Okay lang naman yan, no? 1,500,000. Variable cost, 150,000 times 6.5, 975,000. So, ang CM mo, 525,000. Then eventually, minus mo yung fixed cost na 155,000 and this gives you your earnings before interest and taxes of 370,000. Okay? So, yung ginawa ko sa taas, the usual shortcut lang naman na ginagawa po ninyo. Okay? So, for your base level EBIT, yan na po yun, 370,000. Okay? For number 2, what will be your degree of operating leverage? So your DOL is simply your CM over EBIT, and your CM is 370,000. Your CM is 525. Sorry for that. So your CM is 525,000 over EBIT of 370,000. Okay? So 525,000 divided by 370,000, that gives you 1.42. I-ano nyo na. Oo. Anong tawag doon? O round off nyo na. Okay? So the degree of operating leverage is 1.42. Excuse me. Okay. For number 3, assume that the firm expects units sold to increase by 20%. What would be the percentage change in EBIT? I'll show you two ways to do it. Long method and short method. Let's do it the long way. Long way muna ha. Anong sinabi? Units sold is to increase by 20%. So, if you have 150,000 units as your starting point, i-increasean mo ng 20%, so multiply mo sa 1.2. Di po ba? So, ilang units na yan? 150,000 times 1.2, that gives you 180,000 units. Yang 180,000 units mong yan, kukumpitan mo ng CM per unit, which is basically your CM per unit of 350. So, may new CM ka. Parang ganon. Lalagay ko, new CM. Okay? So, 3.5 times 180,000 units. Ang new CM mo, 630,000. Okay? Tapos, yung new CM mo na 630,000, so ma-minus ko ngayon sa fixed cost. Magkano fixed cost natin? 155,000. So, ito yung ating new EBIT. Yung new EBIT mo, 630 minus 155, 475,000. So, how do you get the percentage change? No? New minus old over old. O, ano yung new natin na EBIT? 475,000. Diba? Ano yung old nating EBIT? Yung kanina, ito, 370. Over the old, 370. Do the math. So, 475 minus 370, it's a change of 105,000 divided by 370,000. That gives you 28.38%. So, yun yung sagot mo sa number 3. Okay? The resulting percentage change in EBIT is 28.38%. Pero, pwede natin gamitan ng shortcut. Paano yung short way? Di ba ang sabi, degree of operating leverage is the percentage change in EBIT over your percentage change in sales. Tapos meron tayong DOL na 1.42. Kukunin mo lang, work back mo lang. Di ba may percentage change in sales tayo na 20%? O yun, multiply mo lang. 20% times 1.42, lalabas po yung 28.4%. So, yung 28.38, ito rin ay near 28.4%. Ganyan lang. Kasi 1.42, ni-round off lang naman din natin yan, di ba? O yun. So, yung long method is how you will do it in strat cost. Parang ganon. No? Kasi, yung number of units nag-change, tumaas, 180. So, may bagong CM ako. Tapos, ma-minus ko yung fixed cost. So, may bago akong operating income. Ko-compare ko sa dating operating income, makukuha ko yung precise na sagot. Pero may short way ka, no? Since your DOL is equals to the percentage change in EBIT over percentage change in sales, o di gamitin mo na lang yon. Kasi may DOL ka naman na 1.42, may percentage change in sales ka na naman na 20. So, kung ano yung nawawala, yun yung percentage change in EBIT, 28.4%. Okay? That's how you solve it. So, for number 4, tinatanong na kayo dyan lang, the new level of EBIT given the expected 20% increase. Na-compute na natin, di ba? Meron na tayong new EBIT. No? So, yan na po ang sagot sa number 4. Yung 475,000. Recorded naman ito, pero kung gusto nyo, edi screenshot. Sige po, screenshot. Tuloy natin sa number 5, 6, 7, 8. Sa mga financial and combined leverage naman tayo. May page 2 yan. Oo, kasya yan. May page 2 yung ating whiteboard. Okay. Number 5, let's compute for your degree of financial leverage. So your DFL would be your EBIT over EBIT minus interest. Pero yung number 5 na degree of financial leverage, sa baseline consideration po yung tinatanong dyan ha. Hindi po dun sa nag-change agad na sales. Baseline po yan. So magkano po EBIT natin kanina? Di ba na-compute na natin? EBIT natin kanina 370. Yan lang din po gagamitin natin. Okay? So your EBIT is 370,000 over EBIT minus interest. What is your interest expense? 90. So, didiretso ko na. 370 minus 90, ang denominator mo, 280,000. This actually represents, yung 280,000 na yan, that actually represents the earnings before tax. Kasi nabawasan na yung EBIT ng interest. Okay? So, for our degree of operating leverage, that is 370,000 divided by 280,000, then that gives you 1.32. Okay? That is your number 5. 1.32. So for number 6, what would be your degree of combined leverage? It's simply your DOL times DFL. Okay? Meron po tayong degree of operating leverage kanina. Nakuha natin 1.42. So ang gagawin ko natin, kukunin ko lang yon, 1.42 multiplied by your DFL of 1.32. Okay? So 1.42 times 1.32, that gives you 1.87. That's your answer. Okay? Degree of combined leverage, 1.87. Now, for number 7, assume that the firm expects units sold to increase by 20%. What will be the resulting percentage change in earnings per share? Ngayon, bigla kang tinanong ng tungkol sa earnings per share. So, using the formula for DFL, which is EBIT over EBIT minus interest, parang hindi mo siya basta makukuha doon. So, ang gagawin mo is the other calculation for DFL. Okay? So, your DFL would be the percentage change in EPS over your percentage change in EBIT. Di ba na-compute na natin yung DFL kanina na 1.32? Tapos meron tayong percentage change in EBIT kanina. Ano yung percentage change in EBIT kanina? Nakuha na natin yun, di ba? Ito, yung 28.4%. Di ba? So, what would be your percentage change in EPS? So, ang gagawin mo, 28.4 times 1.32 is 37.49. So, 37%. Parang ganun. So, 37.49%. Ayun. So, 37.49%. And then lastly, for number 8, assume that the firm's current level of earnings per share is 2 pesos. What will be the new level of the earnings per share after that? No? Now, nakuha naman na po natin yung percentage change in EPS natin na 37.49. So, yung 2 pesos, simply multiply it by 1.3749. Or yung iba, 1.37 lang yan kung tutuusin. Pero pwede nang ganyan, no? So, 2 times 1.3749, this is like 2.75. Ayun, parang ganon, no? So, this is 2.74, 2.75. Parang ganon, okay? So, this is 2.75. Ayan. So, yan po ang dynamics natin ng DFL, DCL, at saka operating leverage. Screenshot po. In short, basta alam nyong laruin yung mga formula for DOL, DFL, DCL, I don't think you'll have a problem with this. Okay? Aralin nyo yan yung dynamics na yan. Okay. Punta po tayo ng weighted average cost of capital. Isang medyo hindi straightforward. And then yung iba straightforward. Ay, yung next, I mean ito. No, yung medyo maikli lang, kumbaga. Parang ganun. Okay, so dito po tayo sa next natin. I think this is included in your material as well. So, ito po yung ating representative problem, no, to use for that. Living in Grace Company's new financing will be in proportion to the market value of its present financing. We have long-term debt of 7 million. 3 zeros omitted lang yan, so 7 million. And then preferred stock is 1 million, and then common stock is 7 million. The firm's bonds are currently selling at 80% of par with a yield of 9%. O, alam niyo na yung gagawin dun sa 9%, parang yan yung interest rate, di ba? And then we have 40% tax rate, so i-after tax natin yan mamaya. The preferred stock is at par value, is selling at par value. So, the market value of the preferred stock is equal to its par. So, kung ano po yung dividend rate, yan yung susundin natin. Okay? The common stock has a current market value of 40 and is expected to pay 1.2 dividend for this fiscal year, and the dividend growth is 10%. Ano po ang sabi ko sa inyo kanina? Pag tungkol sa dividend growth, ang nabasa po ninyo, your cost of equity will be computed under Gordon Growth Model. Pero kapag ka naman po ang nabasa nyo ay mga risk-free rate, mga market risk, premium, mga ganyan, ay ibig sabihin, CAPM ang gagamitin mo sa pag-compute ng cost of equity. Okay? Sige, simulan natin. Number 1, let's analyze the components of your debt and equity. Okay? So for your long-term debt, yes, it's 7 million, pero wag mong idediretso kasi it's only selling at 80%. So at the market, 80% lang siya. So times 80% lang dapat ang gagamitin mo for proportions. Okay? Kumbaga market value proportions ang ginagamit natin, di ba? So 7 million times 0.8, that gives you 5,600,000. Okay? And then for your preferred stock, ang sabi, the preferred stock is selling at par. So, kung ano po yung par natin dito na 1 million, yun na po diretso yung market value niya. So, lalagay ko dito, 1 million. Okay? And then, for our common stock, sinabi, it has a current market value of 40. So, wag mo diretso susundin yung 7 million dyan kasi par value lang yan. Okay? So, get the market value of 40 and then you multiply it by that 200,000 outstanding shares. So 40 times 200,000 issued and outstanding, so we have 8 million. So ito po ang gagamitin nating components. Kasi nga po, pag kumukuha po tayo ng components for WACC calculation purposes, kailangan naka-market value Don't forget that. Okay? So 5,600,000, 1 million and 8 million, our denominator for our components would be 14,600,000. Okay? So medyo maglo-lowest term ka lang, 56 over 146, 10 over 146, at saka 80 over 146. Yan po ang component na gagamitin po natin. Idiretso nyo na dyan para hindi kayo tawag dito? Para hindi kayo nag-round off ng percentage na mga decimal. Pagka ganyang hindi masyadong whole number yung components. Okay? Number 2, determine the cost components. In the determination of your cost components, what I mean here is, let's compute one by one. Ano yung cost of debt? Ano yung cost of preferred stock? Ano yung cost of common equity? Okay? So, di ba sabi ko po sa inyo, ano ang dapat kinukuha pag cost of debt? The after-tax cost of debt. At COD would be the cost of debt multiplied by 1 minus the tax rate. Di ba? So, the current market yield is 9%. Times the tax rate complement of 40, 60. So 9 times 0.6, 5.4%. Meron ka ng after-tax cost of debt. Nag-loading ako doon. Okay, next. Cost of preferred stock. Paano kunin ng cost of preferred stock? Di ba sabi, the dividends of the preferred stock over the market price of the preferred stock. Parang ganun, ano? Di ba? Diyan mo kukunin yung dividend rate. Eh, sabi kasi, the preferred stock is selling at par. 'Di ba? And it pays a 6% dividend. So pareho lang yung market value tsaka par value. So parang ang dating, maglolokohan lang tayo dyan kasi kung kukunin mo yung 1 million divided by 100,000 shares, so ang par value niya 10, parang ganon, which also serves as the market value. Kukuhanan ko ng 6% dividend para malaman ko kung magkano yung dividend. Tapos i-divide ko rin uli dahil pareho nga lang yung par value sa market value. Nagigets niyo ako? So, in short, because the preferred stock is selling at par value, then yun na po yung cost of preferred stock mo. Okay? Next, let's compute for your common equity. For your cost of common equity, dahil ang binigay po sa atin may dividend growth, so alam na, Gordon growth model. D sub 1 over P sub 0 plus G. Okay? So D sub 1 is the 1.20 share dividend this fiscal year. Yung ibibigay pa lang ha, hindi dividend last year. Laging D sub 1. Ibig sabihin, the dividend that will be distributed pa lang. Okay? So this is 1.2 over the current market value of the common stock, which is 40. Okay? And then plus your growth rate of 10%. Okay? So 1.2 divided by 40 plus 0.1, that is, ulit, 1.2 divided by 40 plus 0.1. That gives you 0.13, which is 13%. Meron ka ng after-tax cost of debt, cost of preferred stock, cost of equity. Pwede na tayo mag-compute ng weighted average cost of capital. So for number 3, plug in for WACC calculation. Okay? Di ba sabi natin, WACC is equals to E over V times cost of equity plus P over V times cost of preferred stock. Di ba? Plus D over V multiplied by K sub D1 minus T. Meron na tayo niyan isa-isa, di ba? Ano yung E over V natin? Ano yung E over V? Common equity over the market value. So, ano yun? Ito, yung 80 over 146. So, lalagay ko 80 over 146 and then get the cost of equity of 13%. Plus, ano yung P over V natin? Sa preferred naman. So, ito yon. So, 10 over 146 multiplied by, ano yung cost of preferred stock natin? 6%. Plus, ano yung D over V? As sa debt. 56 over 146 and then after tax cost of debt, nakuha natin 5.4%. Okay? So, 13 times 80 over 146, 7.12. 6 times 10 over 146, 0.41. 0.41%. Plus 5.4 times 56 over 146. 2.07. So, 2.07%. So, add mo lang together, 2.07 plus 0.41 plus 7.12. That gives you 9.6% C. So, ganun lang naman mag-compute usually ng weighted average cost of capital. Okay? Analyze the components. So, kukunin mo yung components based on market value, then do some ratios or percentages or fractions. Tapos, determine mo yung isa-isang cost components mo. Cost of debt na after tax, then cost of preferred stock, tsaka cost of equity, tsaka mo i-plug in for your WACC calculation. Screenshot. Okay, let's have our last case for WACC calculation. Ito mas maikli lang ito, don't worry, Stanino Company has a capital structure which consists of 60% long-term debt, binigay na ha. Hindi na kayo pinag-compute ng components. And then 40% common stock. Pag walang binanggit na preferred stock, wag mo nang hanapin. Ibig sabihin wala. Okay? So, compute natin yung mga components niya. After tax cost of debt, what is our add code? The before tax yield to maturity on the bonds is 8%. 8%. A non-tax rate, 40%. So, i-after tax mo ng 60%. 8 times 0.6, that gives you after tax cost of debt, 4.8%. Next, let's get your cost of equity. Okay? For your cost of equity, tingnan natin kung CAPM or Gordon Growth Model. 3 pesos dividend at year-end where D sub 1 is 3 with a growth rate of 7%. Alam na. Diba? So, this would be D sub 1 over P sub 0 plus G. Okay? D sub 1 is 3. P sub 0, the common stock currently sells at 60 plus growth rate of 7%. So, 3 divided by 60 plus 0.07 is 12%. Okay? So, meron na tayong after-tax cost of debt na 4.8% na ang component ay 60% plus meron tayong sa equity naman na 12% na ang component ay 40%. Okay? So, that would be 4.8 times 60%, 2.88% plus 12% times 0.4, 4.8%. Okay, so 2.88 plus 4.8, that gives you 7.68%, which can be seen in letter D. Screenshot. Halos 1 hour din pala ang ating discussion. So, sige po. Salamat po. Thank you for being with us today. At I hope marami po kayong natutunan sa session natin today. God bless po. Aral mabuti.